Ladies and gentlemen, I've done this a couple times before because this is the realest thing I ever wrote. Sorry. Good morning or evening, friends. This is JP with Wise Guys Gaming, and I want to talk to you about Mortal Kombat 2021. Not where the game is going. I want to talk to you about this movie. Spill water on my face. Guys, I've heard a lot about this movie. And I've been told a lot about this movie. One of the things that people keep telling me is that I have expected too much out of Mortal Kombat. Too much. To them, I say this. I don't believe that I have expected too much from Mortal Kombat. I have said all along that, particularly before they finished, they sent out the first scene with Hanzo versus Bihan. I have said I think the movie's going to be terrible, but I think it's going to have some nice fight scenes and be pretty. I said that from jump.
Quit lagging behind.
So I don't know how it is that people are saying that I had too high expectations. The truth is, I did not have too high expectations for the movie Mortal Kombat. What I had was too high expectations for the viewers of the movie. Thought y'all had common sense? Apparently not. That's right, I said it. So, I'm going to try to break this down into three main parts, and we're going to get up out of here. Actually, I'm going to make this video three main parts, and then I'm going to make another video, an accompanying video, and that is going to be how to fix it. Because I think the movie could have been very good if they had just taken their time and tried a little bit. But they didn't. Not the way I'd appreciate it, at least. So let's start here. Let's start with what people praise about this movie. Fights. Fights and fatalities. Most of what I keep hearing is people telling me that all Mortal Kombat really should be is good fights and good fatalities. The first scene in this movie has a pretty good fight. Hanzo versus Bihan is a really good fight. I'm sorry, not even Hanzo versus Bihan. It is Hanzo versus Lin Kuei and Bihan versus Shirai Ryu. Even though Bihan is really just versus Hanzo, simply because the Shirai Ryu did not appear to put up much of a fight. They didn't know what was coming. Which is fair. Ambushed and killed, that's fine. The problem is, I can't tell you the next great fight from this movie. I can't. Would you say it's the last fight? Where Cole and Hanzo as Scorpion fight Bihan Sub-Zero? Would you say it's that fight? I wouldn't. Because there are moments of that fight where Cole literally turns away from the entirety of the fight to punch ice. He's literally just punching ice. There's no real meaning for it. I mean, he's trying to save his family or whatever, but you would think that since he just got his butt handed to him by Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero is currently kind of putting the business on Scorpion, you would think he would try to help out and make sure Sub-Zero went down before he tried to work on this ice. But no, he just wanted to punch the ice because I care about my family so much that I really don't want to take care of the actual threat. I just want to sit here and get them out of this ice first. Not the guy creating the ice, just the ice. Would you say that the next best fight was Sonya versus Kano? I don't think that was a very good fight at all. It was very jumpy. It kind of went from place to place. Didn't go great. There aren't really that many really good, memorable fights from this movie. What there are some memorable moments in fatalities. It is memorable when Kung Lao surfboards Natara in through his hat. That's memorable. It is memorable when Jax gets his arms knocked off by Sub-Zero. These things are memorable. It is memorable when Liu Kang summons the Flame Dragon to take out Cabal. All of these things are memorable, but they aren't good fights. They're just moments that you remember. The fights are they don't really feel all that natural to me. I feel like the choreography was not the best. They're not terrible. They get you from point A to point B and get you to the end. And as I've mentioned, the fatalities are pretty... they got fatalities. The problem with the fatalities is this. There are no new fatalities in this movie. The newest fatality that you see in this movie, really, is Sonya versus Kano. And that's Sonya stabbing Kano in the eye with a lawn gnome. That's it. That's pretty much all you're getting as far as a new fatality. And that's trash, guys. That's trash. Every fatality in this movie that I can think of off the top of my head has A, been done, and B, been done better. Every single one of them have been done better. Some of them have been overdone to the fact that they are now brutalities. But here we are, watching them on screen and people cheering it like they've never seen it before. Kung Lao has one where he literally threw his hat down and drug you through the buzzsaw and then lifted up your discarded carcass. This time he slides through like it's a surfboard on Natara and then makes some like flawless victory mark because she never touched him, which we'll get to that later. Oh, we get into Natara. Bet money. Bet a stat. So, I feel like the fights and fatalities were relatively underwhelming because if you just want to see fatalities, honestly, you could just look it up on YouTube and you could watch the fatalities and see them in 4K or maybe not 4K, but in HD, and most of them look better than what was actually given to you in the movie. Just being frank. The fights are okay. There aren't any like really cool. I don't think there are that many really cool moments in just the fights. There are really cool moments for like that would be brutalities or fatalities or whatever, but there's really not cool moments of just the fights that you see. With the exception of Kung Lao's entrance, that was pretty cool. Kung Lao coming up out of the hat with the little teleport, that's pretty cool. They should have done more stuff like that. Okay? But they didn't, unfortunately. It was pretty lame. So, all in all, you can give that maybe a C plus, C minus, somewhere around there. In the C range for the fights and the fatalities. Let's talk plot. I've given you the strongest part of the movie. Now here's the weakest part. The plot is terrible. It's horrible. It jumps from place to place. It doesn't really follow. They go through like 4 different storylines in this. I got into a discussion with this gentleman because I was telling him how the plot was pretty awful. And he was telling me that the plot was about Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. That's what the plot was. And I said, no, Sub-Zero versus Scorpion is not the plot. The plot of this movie is Cole Young finding his inner arcana, chi, whatever, because he's the main character. That's what this movie's about. We went back and forth over this. So because of that, I watched the movie a second time. When I watched the movie the second time, one of the things I did to determine the plot of this movie was to record all the scenes that Scorpion was in it. I think I may have gotten 20, 25, somewhere around there, maybe minutes. Maybe even 30. I'm gonna give it 30. Say that. Even though I'm pretty sure it wasn't 30. Because the first scene lasted maybe 12 minutes and then he's interspersed in the movie with these little flashes. And then the last fight scene, he's in that. So he's in 2 fight scenes. That's all he's really in. Movie can't be about you if that's what it's about. You want to say it's about the bloodline? Fine. It ain't about Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. It's just not. The Scorpion Sub-Zero is a strong scene, but there's no real reason that's ever explained as to why Sub-Zero is going after Scorpion. You hear later on that that's the bloodline thing. Like Sub-Zero has a line with Shang Tsung, and you know the whole thing is the prophecy says the bloodline of Hanzo Hasashi is going to win the tournament well into the future. Like well into the future, the bloodline of Hanzo Hasashi is going to win, so we're going to take it out now, and we're going to send Sub-Zero to do it. Sub-Zero is basically your attack dog, your assassin right now. But it was nothing that really like made me feel good or made me feel compelled to root for Cole or root against Sub-Zero or anything like that. They were just kind of people who were there. And the way the plot line kind of worked, you go between this weirdness of the Sub-Zero hunting the bloodline, and then you have the Earth Warriors trying to stop Shang Tsung, and then you have Cole and his whole, I want to protect my family, but I want to do this. It just strung in so many different ways, and nothing was ever really like fully explained. Part of the reason I say nothing was explained, even though there's a definite ending to part of the movie, Shang Tsung makes a point to say, Raiden makes a point to say that the prophecy has been fulfilled. The prophecy was that the bloodline of Hanzo Hasashi was going to win the tournament. The bloodline of Hanzo Hasashi was going to win the tournament. There's no tournament in the movie, guys. There is none. They never make it a tournament. So how is the prophecy fulfilled if the one thing that was supposed to happen didn't happen? It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So people often say to me that it doesn't have to have a good plot. We're talking about fights and stuff like that. That's fine if that's how you feel. I feel like even the fights weren't that good. I feel like even the fatalities weren't that good. But if you feel like the plot does not have to be anything, I mean, that's your right. You can feel that way. I would say that, guys, we live in a world where Ant-Man has 2 amazing movies. There are 2 amazing Ant-Man movies. People don't know anything about Ant-Man, and there are 2 amazing Ant-Man movies with perfectly coherent storylines. There is no reason that the storyline for this movie had to be bad. You can still have your good fatalities. You can still have your fight scene. But you can also string together... Listen, the first Mortal Kombat movie had a better storyline than this. Plain and simple. Had better character development than this. Plain and simple. Which, you know what? This is a good transition. Let's move into the characters, right? So, good characters in this movie. Let's say this. Great characters in this movie. Kano. Kano is the best character in the movie. He's a little funny. He plays the role of the anti-hero until he no longer plays the anti-hero. And he just plays villain. But for the most part, Kano's relatively entertaining. He's just a foul-mouthed chucklehead that you make fun of the whole time. Good characters in this movie. I am willing to say Sub-Zero's a good character in the movie. Scorpion's a good character. As I point out, he's not necessarily that deep in the movie, but the whole thing is kind of like he wants to show his love for his family and get revenge for his family, all that kind of stuff. So what little he's in, and they just basically made him a training dummy for Sub-Zero. A fight dummy. That's fair enough. I'm okay to say that's good. Sub-Zero has a pretty good role. Even though he's basically just a tack dog assassin, he's a good movie. He's got a pretty decent role. I don't want to give Jax and Sonya good. I'd rather say aight. Kung Lao is a good character. They give him a little personality. They make him a little punched up. He's pretty cool. He's kind of this character that is what you want to see. Like, he's the guy you want to be if you're going to be one of the Earth Warriors. He's probably the best of the Earth Warriors. Yeah, well, I'll say that of the good Earth Warriors. I'll say that because Kano, as you might imagine, ends up as the bad guy. If you haven't seen it, Kano's going to be a bad guy. If you know anything about Mortal Kombat, Kano should be the bad guy. Here we go. Jax and Sonya are aight. Raiden is aight. Shang Tsung is meh. He's okay. I'll say Shang Tsung is aight to good. We'll give him that. Everybody else is bad. They're awful. Cole is a terrible character. You don't care about him. He's bland as saltless saltines. Melina is basically there to die. She's an attack dog, basically there to die. Goro, worthless. Natara is literally only in there to die. Cabal is kind of like an evil, like the evil comic relief where Kano is the good comic relief. But because Kano switches sides, there's no real care about Cabal. These characters are terrible. There's no development. I guess the best development is for Cole, and that's that he, found his arcana or whatever to get stronger and get his little special magic power and all that kind of stuff. But there's no real character development. He didn't change who he is. The whole movie he wanted to protect his family. Nothing developed out of him other than he discovered the ability to do so. These characters are terrible. Nobody put any time into it. Nobody put any worry into it. Like, there's so many fewer things, like very few things that you could do. If you watch the video games, they have a couple of solutions to make some things better. And it doesn't take much. It does not take much to turn this around, which begs the question, why didn't they? Now, I understand there were some budgetary concerns. I understand they were running out of time. They lost a director, all this kind of stuff. But if that's the case, then let's just call it what it is and say the movie's not good. It's not a good movie. Personally, I think it's awful. I don't think that I'd give the characters and the plot, I'd give the plot line an F. I give the character and plot line and backstories, because they ruined some backstories to get here. I give the characters maybe a D, because there are a couple of good characters that will kind of boost things up a little bit. You kind of smile at some of the points where Kano's on screen. You kind of smile at some of the points. Like, they have some decent scenes and stuff where, like, the sweep scene is pretty good. The first scene is really good. And let's say the dinner scene is pretty good. Dinner scene is pretty solid. Other than that, there's not a lot going on with the story, the plot, the backstory. None of that's really all that good. The characters are really ridiculous and bland. Liu Kang, that's why I'm playing Liu Kang now. Liu Kang is probably the worst rendition of Liu Kang I've ever seen in my entire life. He is so bland. That boy, oh my gosh. White on rice and a glass of milk in the middle of a snowstorm. Good Lord, he's so bland. He is, that boy is unsweet tea. Unsweet tea with no lemon. And just a little bit of water. But I do think there's going to be sequels. And I do think there's potential. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, because it's been almost 20 minutes of me talking. In the next video, I'm going to talk about things, very simple things, that could have been done to save this movie, and that can be done as the movies go forward. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out, and we'll talk more.